Okay, perfect. So you're here because you want to pay off your mortgage in 10 years. If you haven't pieced it together yet, I'm here to tell you that involves buying one investment property. There's no secrets, no magic formula. You buy that one property, and in 10 years, you can sell that property, pay off your current mortgage, and be mortgage free. I'm going to walk you through how to do that. I'm a mortgage broker here in Ontario. Let's jump into it. So bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen with you. Okay. All right. So just before we get started, just to put this out there, these are my opinions, not advice. This is all based on historical data and third-party sources. All the figures here. Okay. So a little bit about me. Mortgage agent here in Ontario. Just briefly go through this. I'm working now with Mortgage Outlet. This is one of the largest mortgage brokerages here in Southern Ontario. I'm also a multifamily investor in real estate. I love talking to people about real estate, realizing their dreams through real estate. And I know myself and my wife, we definitely have. This is a current project, actually, that just completed. This was a single family conversion to 3 legal units, a triplex. This is known in the industry as a BRRRR, buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. Now, I'm not saying you should rush out on your first foray into property investing. It requires, first and foremost, having a great realtor, mortgage agent, architect, general contractor. But I just want to show you that in regards to what I'm about to talk about, that I also walk the walk for what I'm going to be describing to you. So this current project was projected gross income around $8,000 a month. This is a downtown property. You can get high rents. If you're aiming at a certain customer, the separately metered hydro and your net cash flow about $1,100 a month. Okay, principal pay down $2,800, property appreciation $8,300 at maybe 5%, which is very achievable if you look at the historical data now. So pretty conservative. Your overall return is $12,000 a month and a return on investment here of over 30%. So as a broker, I'm also part of an award-winning team of consultants, many years of experience helping clients build their portfolios. So let's go here. So what can you do here by accomplishing just one investment property? Owning one property. This is what this presentation is really about. I'm going to show you later on how easy it is to build $1 million with real estate with very little work. So the reason you're here, the reason that you saw on social media or Facebook ad or even a past client of ours is that you want to be mortgage free in 10 years. And most people are going down that path. They're trying to pay their mortgage off. Their parents, their grandparents are saying, pay your mortgage off. Life is going to be grand. And I'm telling you, maybe there's a quicker way to do that. And that's buy one property will help get you there faster. Buying that one property will help you retire maybe 5 years early, maybe 3 years early. It's going to be different for each one of us. But you're going to have the ability to retire early, no doubt. Now, not many people have a pension these days. If you set this up right, and I can show you how to create a pension for retirement, owning one investment property can also help you send your kids to college with no debt. And finally, the thing that we're probably most proud of here is, we've helped over 100 families join the One Property Away program. Okay, more than 50 of them. Many of them didn't think that they were going to be able to get their first property, but we showed them how, and they're on their way to buy even their second and maybe their third. So the question I get a lot is, what do we charge for this service? Well, I'm going to tell you this is not a course. It's not a monthly membership. I'm not going to show you here how to flip homes. This is me just being a mortgage broker who's extremely passionate about real estate and investing in real estate, trying to stand out from the competition out there, trying to impact the average Ontario family. So I want to show you how to create generational wealth, and it's easier than you think. I'm going to walk you through the steps, how to do it. I'm going to show you the numbers and why it makes sense, but I'm never going to charge you $1. So if you decide to use us to purchase real estate or anything else, to sell, buy, refinance, whatever that might be, you'll never pay us $1. This is just free information for you. And as we go through this, I want you to think about this sentence. I want you to continue to ask yourself, am I doing the best I can with what I have? Okay, so what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover the basics. I'm not going to assume everyone here knows what all the terminology is. We're going to lightly touch on things like cash flow, leverage, return on investment, net worth. Then we're going to play a little game where the bank is literally telling you where to invest your money. This has been a little bit eye-opening. Why I believe Ontario is the best place for real estate in Canada, hands down. We're going to show you the numbers. We're going to go, most of us are investing in traditional investments because that's what we're told to do. And we're going to make a comparison for you, apples to apples, between real estate and traditional investing. And this is the one, I've done this in person in the past, and I can see, there are couples sitting there, decision makers. They look at each other. Some of them are going, wow, we really need to look into this. So there's going to be a wow factor here, okay? I'm going to give you a simple blueprint how to create that $2 million, and actually it can be even up to $3.6 million for retirement. I'm going to lay it out. I'm a visual guy. I want to see it laid out. I'm in the trenches every day. I do this every day. So, for me, it's easy. I've been doing this for over 5 years. It sounds easy for me when I talk about it, but for the average person that doesn't live in that world, you can really wrap your head around it. I'm going to show you the numbers. And finally, we're going to show you how you can get started. Okay. So the one property blueprint. This is going to be an example. We're going to reference this a lot in the presentation. So for this, I picked a $500,000 investment property. If you end up buying a $400,000, $700,000 property, the concept is going to be the same. But for a $400,000 property, you need 20%. 20% is the minimum down payment for an investment property. So you need about $100,000. And where did you get that from? Well, we're going to get into that. But in this case, for this example, you need a $100,000 down payment on a $500,000 property. It means you're taking a mortgage of $400,000. Okay, so let's break down the numbers about this. Okay, because I'm going to show you how one property can change your life. And this is what the diagram is really about. So let's assume here, you're going to own that property for 15 years. And it's going to go up in value by 5% every year. So after year 1, it's $525. After year 2, it'll be worth a little over $550 because of compound interest. It starts to add up. I chose 5%. The 30-year average in the GTA is actually over 7%, but I went on the low end. Okay, so after 15 years, your property has a value of over $1 million. We're going to take out that remaining mortgage of $250,000. That means you have equity in the property of $788,000, and we're going to pay that back initially. That what you paid the down payment, and you're left with a $688,000 profit. After 20 years, same numbers. We just had another 5 years of appreciation, $1 million profit. Okay, so if you own 3 properties, imagine you'll have $3 million in there. Easy as that. You buy that one property, you hold it, and we're going to be referencing this one property blueprint throughout the presentation. Okay, I see some questions that are coming in. Great. I'm going to hold those right to the end. And So please do hit me with some questions. I'll gladly answer them after this presentation. Okay, and that's just on one property. So let's play a little game here, okay? Let's say I give you $100,000, and the goal for you is to go into your bank and say you have to get money from them in 3 different scenarios. Okay? Let's just adjust here. Perfect. Oh, I think we've lost the screen size. 1 second. Excellent. Okay. So scenario 1, you're going to be going into the bank that you've been banking at for 20 to 25 years. And you're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Banker, I've got $100,000. I've got this great business idea or buying a business that's already up and running. How much will you give me? Well, if you've ever applied for a business loan, you'll know that they're probably not going to give you anything at all. But if it's going to be very tough for them to give you money, let's assume though, in this example, they're going to match what you put in. So 100,000. And then you're going to walk in your bank you've been banking at for 20, 25 years, and you say, hey, I've got $100,000. I want to give it to the best financial advisor you have. You've been telling me I need to meet, but I want you to give me 100,000 of whatever, the person. I want you to match mine. And in this example, how often do you think that they're going to match that? Probably 1% of the time. For the very few of us that maybe have a high net worth individual, but for most of us, they're not going to give anything. But again, for this example, we're going to match it as 100,000. Now, let's say you went to the bank and you asked to tell them that you're looking to buy a property. You don't know exactly where this property is going to be. You've got 100,000. You want to buy the property. How much do you think they're going to give you? Well, you know this from the One Property Blueprint. They're going to give you $400,000. They basically don't know you. They have zero relationship with you. They're going to look at the income. They're going to pull your credit. They're going to go back to the MLS listing on the property, and they're going to go, yeah, we like that. Let's do that. Whereas scenario 1, a business loan, they don't want to invest in you. Scenario 2, they don't want to invest in their own people. And scenario 3, they'll invest in a random property. Wow. Huh? Remember, folks, I'm not telling you this. The banks are telling you this. This is based on how they view risk. So they're saying, real estate's 4 times less risky than running a business or the stock market. Let's say your goal was here to make $100,000 over a 5-year period. So you're going to need about a 50% return in your business, in the stock market. So that's like 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% every year in the stock market. Who's gotten that? I know I haven't. Now, I know there's some compounding. I haven't mentioned that, but let's leave that aside. With property, you only need 20%. Well, let's say that another way. In 5 years, 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%. All of us in the last 5 years, for sure, have received that. Very reasonable. So 100,000, 120,000 people move here every year, and they've got to live somewhere. So most of these people that are moving here, they aren't buying. They either can't afford to buy, they don't know where to buy, they just want to get their feet wet, so they're going to go rent. And what happens? They need to rent. It dries up the supply of rental, which means more investors come into the market because they can see vacancy is low, because they know if I buy a property in Toronto, in Burlington, Mississauga, Milton, I can have it rented within a few weeks. Secondly, the economy is not dependent on one industry here in Ontario. We've got arguably the second largest financial district in North America. Very well documented. We have a very diversified economy. Overall vacancy is low. Unemployment is low. Household incomes keep increasing above the rate of inflation. And the 30-year average appreciation for real estate has been 7%. Finally, we've got a lot of tech companies establishing offices in the Toronto core. This is not new news. We've seen this happen: Amazon, Google, Uber, etc. Okay, so what's your financial advisor does not want you to know? I have this interesting one. When it was shown to me and my wife, we were like, wow, this is very interesting. And we drastically changed how we invested, where we invest, and where we put our money. And I like to show this to you, a lot of clients. It's like 2 slides. It's basically just, we're going to compare apples to apples. So traditional investments are RSPs, RESPs, mutual funds, TFSAs, wherever you're putting your money, we're going to compare that to real estate. And I'm going to assume you're putting your money with $400 a month. If you're not putting anything away, that's okay. But in this example, I'm going to say you're putting away $400 a month. And as we know, that could be an RSP, an RESP. That could be maxing you out with 2 kids. I'm going to assume you're doing that every month. And we're going to say that, we're going to do that for 15 years, 5% return on investment. And that leaves you with $100,000, little over $107,000 after 15 years. Now, I know it's going to be a little bit higher because the government will kick in some money, but not much higher. And this is what, this is what's promised by the financial advisor for your RESP. You're sitting there at the table and, they pull out the spreadsheet and you go, after 5% return after fees, you've got 100,000 there. Okay, well, mission accomplished, right? And they did what they said that they were going to do. And I look at that and I go, well, geez, I don't know. What could I do with 100,000? It sounds good at the time. We felt like we had this pressure. My wife and I, we had to do something. But at the end of the day, what can I do with that? Can I send the kids to school with residency costs? I don't know. In 15 years, how is this really going to impact my retirement? I mean, I know it's only $400 a month that we're putting away, but like 100,000, the cost of money in 15 years, you're not getting that much. But you can't be angry because, everybody, they did what they said they were going to do. But now let's compare that to real estate. So we're going to borrow $100,000 down payment. And to do that, you can get that from savings, could be from investments, could be from an equity line of credit. There's a lot of places we can get it specific to each one of you. I can walk through all the examples, but let's say the cost to borrow that 100,000 today is $400 a month, okay, on a line of credit. So let's not put that money. What I'm saying is, let's not take that $400 that we're putting away for the RSP on the left. Let's put it on the right. Let's put it into real estate. Let's just shift it over so it's not costing you any more money. Now, you might come to me and say, Robert, I want to stay invested there, but we also want to do this. Absolutely, we can do that. I'll show you those numbers. But for this example, we're just shifting where we're putting our money. Okay, we're not putting $400 away. There's still a plan for you as well. So let's see how this plays out, okay? We're going to buy a $500,000 property over 15 years. You know what this map looks like. It's the one property blueprint, 5% appreciation, it's $1 million. The remaining mortgage is $250,000. The equity created is $788,000. You minus out your initial down payment, and you're left with a profit of $688,000. That's over 600% higher return on investment than with mutual funds, the traditional way of doing it. Now, some people might say, well, Robert, if you sold, there's capital gains tax, there's real estate commissions to pay, and I get that. It's true. Let's put that aside for now because it does get a bit confusing, but honestly, it could be different for everybody. Me, personally, I don't plan on ever paying capital gains because I'm not going to sell the property. I'm just going to keep sucking money out of the property by continuing to refinance it. And that's sort of an advanced strategy. We can talk a little bit afterwards offline about that. But for this example, you're putting the same amount of money. We just shifted over away where we were putting it. Huh. So I'm asking you to be honest with yourselves, kind of like put your hand up and say, I need to look deeper into this. I just need to see our personal situation laid out for us. Okay. That's what we can do for you. Is a little bit eye-opening. I know it was for me and my wife. And there's conspiracy theorists out there that say getting a 5% return over 15 years, every year, no way. Well, I can tell you over the last 30 years, we've been getting 7% average. But what if, okay? What if, guys, what if 2%, we're going to only get, real estate will only appreciate by 2% every year instead of 5. And after 15 years, your mutual funds, you're going to have a 10% return on your money. So I don't think this is going to happen, but let's assume it does. Okay, so for 15 years, we went the opposite ends of the spectrum here. And I did the math. And if you look at it, you're actually ahead still with real estate. Almost 200% higher with real estate. All you need to do is get a 2% annual return on your real estate, and your $500,000 property next year is worth 510, and 520, and so on. Now, this isn't because you picked the right property or because you picked the wrong mutual fund. There's no special system here. It's real estate. You're starting with $500,000 out of the gate with $400 a month gets you a $500,000 property, an investment, an asset. Whereas in the other scenario, the traditional route, you're starting at 400. Then next month it's 800. It's 1,200. It's a long road up. Okay, you're leveraging here is what you're doing. So I'm asking you to run the race the right way, the only way. You're putting your money away somewhere, so do the most with what you have. Now, what if you could accomplish this without increasing your monthly budgeting? I'm going to walk you through later an example of a client that we worked with, right down to the dollar. Let's assume that your mortgage payment, your property tax, your heat, your car payments, debt payments, groceries, everything added up to $3,000 a month. Okay. And you say, Robert, we can actually spend more than that. We don't want to spend more than that. We can't actually. We don't want to spend more than that. I'm on maternity leave. Well, I'm self-employed. My kids are in daycare. Whatever the reason is, I say that's fine. You know what? Let's look at a scenario where we can buy an investment property and keep the payments all in for both properties at the same $3,000 a month expenses. And, you're like, what? Okay, well, we'll run the numbers. If it's a possibility, we'll build a proposal for it. We'll show you all the moving parts. I'm going to show you an example of one of those proposals after this, okay? But this is something that 60 or 70% of my clients can take advantage of if they want. And then there are others, that say, great, we actually have a little more room in our budget because we're putting money away in our savings or in a TFSA. It's not doing that much for us. I just rather leverage it into real estate. I feel more comfortable. Sure, we can go that direction too. Okay. I'm just going to adjust the screen here. Okay. Great. So there's an old school way of retiring. This is something that I know. I'm dating myself. The wealthy barber, Dave Schulten, told you, put your money in RSPs, pay yourself first, which I do believe is a good concept. But then pay down your mortgage, pay down your mortgage, pay down your mortgage, defer tax, and later pull it out. And us as Canadians, our parents told us, grandparents, to pay off our mortgage. That $2,000 whatever a month payment is now gone. And you like, wow, I've won life. We've accomplished it. We ground away. We made our prepayment privileges. We worked hard. We budgeted, paid off the mortgage. When it comes to retirement, you've got all this equity in your home. You've got your traditional investments, and that equals retirement, or so we thought. But the true reality is that you've got this property that's paid off. You've got a couple $1,000s more in your pocket a month. Is that going to really change your quality of life? I'm not sure I can answer that. Can you do big things in life with that? Probably not. You've got all this equity tied in your principal residence. So what do? Well, if you want to pull it back out, it's pretty ironic. You can put a mortgage back on it, reverse mortgage, or refinance it, but you just spent 20 years paying it off, and now you're going to, you can downsize, you can put some money in your pocket. What do you do to put that money now? Is just going to sit there, maybe earn 3 or 4%. So this is the traditional model that 95% of you have been on, okay? And there's a new school way. You guessed it, you use that principal residence to buy more real estate. You bought a property. If you've bought a property in the last 3 to 10 years, even longer, you've already won. You've got nice equity in there. You've got debt equity. A lot of us are sitting there with money that's not doing anything, and you can use that money as a vehicle to buy more real estate. So, okay, the new school of retiring means you have potentially your traditional investments or not, plus equity in multiple properties. And that's going to equal retirement on your own terms. What I like to call living the good life. You get to make different decisions. There's different opportunities available to you. You've got millions of dollars at your disposal. So I'm going to show you that overview of how to create $2 million. It's actually up to $3.6 million in this example. So first off, you're going to start with buying that first investment property that we talked about. This is the one property blueprint. Start with that $100,000. Where do we get that? Well, we can determine that on a case-by-case basis. It could potentially not cost you any more money a month, but we're going to buy a $500,000 investment property, and after 3 to 4 years, we're going to refinance that property because it went up in value. A tenant has paid that mortgage down. You've created equity. We're going to refinance it, pull the money out. We're going to keep going, and we're going to make that property run in a cash flow neutral state, so it's not going to cost you anything. And we're going to take that money and we're going to go and rinse and repeat. We're going to buy another investment property. Okay? So after 3 or 4 years, you've got now 2 investment properties. Then we're going to wait another 2 years, and we're going to refinance property number 1 and property 2 because they've appreciated and the mortgage has been forced down by your tenants. And we're going to pull that money out to buy property number 3. So after 5 or 6 years, now you have 3 properties. Remember, you only put in that first $100,000. Okay. You didn't put in another dollar for down payment. There's no money out of your pocket. After 15 years, that's $1.6 million in there. After 25 years, it's like 3.6. That's crazy numbers. And you did this, remember, with that $100,000 investment taken from your equity in your original home. So question, would you rather be mortgage-free in 25 years, the old school way, the path you're on now, or would you rather the new school way, have 5 years still left on your mortgage in 25 years, but be worth $3.6 million? And okay, you might be confused by that. Why would you have 5 years left? Well, in some examples, if you want to pull $100,000 of equity in your home and you don't want your payment to go up, we can offset that by adding 5 years on to the mortgage. So if your current mortgage is at 20 years, let's say, we'll pull out $100,000. add 5 years on to the amortization, and wow, you're like, I'm trying to pay that off. I don't, why, but we're going to pay it off, maybe even sooner. Remember, you could sell that property and pay it off in 10 years. But in this example, you're going to have 3.6 million if you hold it for 25 years. So you can still be mortgage free on your current path, but here you have the opportunity to be mortgage free a lot sooner. Now, the next 3 points are important. These 3 points is probably what's kept most of you out of property investing. I don't want to be a landlord. What if the tenants damage the property? I don't want to fix toilets in the middle of the night. And you know what, guys? I don't want to do that either. If I had to do that stuff, I probably wouldn't be a property investment either. And the answer is property management and insurance. So 6 to 8% of the gross rent you can budget for your property management costs. Placing a tenant in there will cost about 1 month's rent. Insurance can be, in my area, $600 per unit per annum. And insurance that will cover lost rent as well. So you might say, Robert, that's going to eat into my cash flow if I have to pay all these expenses. Well, what I say to that, to those people saying that whether they know it or not, you're paying management fees on all the ETF funds you've invested in. You're paying your financial advisor a fee to manage your investments. So if you have an issue paying a property for property management, I think you better call that advisor, tell them you're not going to pay any more. If you have an RSP, RESP, you're paying a fee for that, to hold that. So whether your stock portfolio goes up or down, your financial planner is still going to get paid, right? My property manager only gets paid if they're doing their job. If the rents don't get collected, they're not getting paid. If they haven't found you a tenant, guess what? They're not getting paid. I much prefer to have a property manager than a financial manager because my financial goals and their financial goals are connected, right? So myth or fact? Paying off your mortgage will lead to financial freedom. Well, I think that's a myth. We've dispelled that. Some of us, it might not be the case, but I think we can agree for most of us, it will not lead to financial freedom. Being a landlord, hard work. Okay, this was a big one. I mean, this people, had, and I'm going to tell you that, I own 3 tools. I'm a lazy landlord. I buy properties where I know there's going to be minimal work. I get great tenants. I get great rent. I make sure, we pick from the best. If there's any work involved, I get property management to work on it. Look, if you want to put sweat equity into the property, you've got a tool belt and you want to get out there and build stuff, renovate, by all means, you can do that. But for the majority of us, we don't, who want to be focusing on our careers, we've got hobbies, family, friends, you don't want to be involved so much. So that's a myth. Your kids will need your help to buy a home. Man, I mean, I'm a mortgage broker. We deal with a lot of kids coming out of school. They're getting out of school with that $45,000, $50,000 starting salary, to get that starter home. It's just not computing. So they've got to go to the bank of mom and dad. Giving an early inheritance, co-signing, things are trending that way. So if your kid's looking to buy a home in 15 years, their income might be out of school coming out $80,000. And with inflation and whatnot, the properties may be $800,000 or more. So they're just not going to have a chance without your help. So why not help them lock in 2021 prices and 22 and put in less money if you're going to be giving them money away now than maybe somewhere down the road. Why not put down 100,000, leverage yourself, create that $688,000 profit, and you can give it to them in a small portion. You can spread it out amongst your kids, but they're definitely going to need your help. So that's a fact. What happens in the next years are going to affect me as a real estate investor. And guys, I'm not concerned over so much the next 3 years. I'm interested in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Historically, the last 30 years, we've seen a 7% annualized return on real estate. So that's a myth. Finally, this was a big objection for people as well. They would be telling me, okay, everything sounds great, Robert, but there's so many moving parts, it seems like, to buy this real estate. It sounds so confusing. You know, I go onto Google, rental properties, and YouTube. I go down these rabbit holes. Everyone's got opinions. Do this, don't do that. And I'm telling you, please, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to pay anyone a course how to show you how to invest in real estate. You buy one property, okay? The right property in a nice area. You get a tenant, a right tenant in there. You hold it for 15 years. That's it. And there's an easy button here, okay? And that's our phone number. What's included with that? We vet all the people for you. Everyone that's been working with me for the last, leveraging my 5+ years in the business, all my relationships, lawyers, accountants, home inspector, property management, myself, the realtors, appraiser, insurance, we vetted them all. There's nothing for you to do here. Now, if you have some people that you're working with, great. You know, we want to weave them in here. That's excellent. We can add them to the team. But you don't need to go out and build your dream team. You know, we've already done that. You can rely on us. They've got 5-star reviews. We've got you covered here. So that's another massive, easy button. Okay, finally, almost done here. Big budget. I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, this is maybe 4 minutes. It'll be very informative. We're going to start on the far right side. I'm just going to see if I can just build up the screen here. Just 1 second. Let's see if this will work. Okay. Let's just see 1 second if this will work. Okay. No, that's still too small. Hang on. Bear with me here. Okay. So this is a live scenario. This was a couple that was brought to me, married couple. He's a police officer in Hamilton. She's a stay-at-home mom. They have 3 kids together, younger kids. They were introduced to me because they needed a refinance. Okay, so we got talking. I looked under the hood a bit, and I could see that there was, you know, a bit of debt that they needed to work through. And I could see, you know, that there was some stress there. So well, their current mortgage, as we can see here, is $413,000 in the yellow. Then we came down, their mortgage payment was $2,063. Sorry, it was carry the home, $2,000, property taxes, all in cost to carry the home was $2,044. So if you look below, they also had quite a bit of debt, unsecured debt. Let's call that $102,000, and they made minimum payments on it every month of $1,300. So they weren't paying any of this debt down soon, and they were maxed out. So this is all high interest debt. So their total household carrying cost, their mortgage, property taxes in the green, the bottom right here, bottom right-hand corner, was $3,741. Now that's a lot on $115,000 salary a year. Now we go to the middle. This is the refinance budget. Okay, we start at the top. We did a 30-year amortization. We added 6.5 years onto their mortgage, and we were able to even get them a better rate. You know, it still makes 1,000 cents. Even if we got them a worse rate, it still made 1,000% sense for them to do what they did. It just happens that we got a better rate. Okay, so in this case, at the time, it was $279. Not magic here. The mortgage amount increased from $413,000 to $645. And this is where the money went. The bank gave them $645. They had legal costs of about $1,100 in the appraisal. We paid out their $100,000 debt. Now they're debt free. After that, the mortgage penalty of $3,500. They had to break their mortgage with their current lender. That's the cost of doing business, but they'd be way better off. Okay, and as you can see in red here, they're left with $126,000. So we'll call that the equity takeout. When the dust settled, we got them a new mortgage, paid off all their debt, handled their closing costs, got them $126,000 in cash in the bank. So now we raised their mortgage by $600 a month. We added 6.5 years to it. But I'm going to show you how by doing that, they're still better off, okay? So their mortgage payment, their property taxes, the same. Their household carrying costs went up to $3,019. Their new household payment is $3,047 because we've got rid of all that debt. So that's actually $700 overall less than what they were currently paying on their household expenses. So they went out, they found an investment property. This is on the left here. And they put down 20%. They bought a property for $565,000. They needed a mortgage of 20% of 80%, $452,000. The bottom part here is their down payment and closing costs. Okay, now they have land transfer, appraisal, the legals, everything in the red. And when it came to their lawyer's office with $123,000. Where do they get that? Well, remember they had that in their bank account, so there's no monthly cost. Now the monthly cost with this property is $1,934. The property taxes a month $247. They rented it out for $3,500. They bought a property that they could rent out the upstairs and the downstairs, 2 units, and that's the direction they chose to go. So they're left with $1,300 a month coming back to them in cash flow, positive. So this is what they did. Look, if we accomplish this on one salary, $115,000, when we first got introduced, we saved them over $2,000 a month in cash flow. We got rid of that crazy 18% debt they had on the $100,000. They bought a $565,000 asset that's going to appreciate. This is their one property blueprint. They're going to be worth $1 million, from that one property. When they've already got plans in place, maybe a year and a half, because they got a nice pop already in their property value, they want to rinse and repeat. They want to do this again. So this is something I tell you, this budget we build out this is a custom proposal. We do this for all of our clients, regardless if you're a first-time buyer, you're selling or buying, you're refinancing, you're buying investment property. We'll build you a custom proposal. And then we record a video of us walking through it line by line, showing you all the moving parts, what you need to do to accomplish this. When we give that to you, we get a link for the video. You get to watch this. You can watch this on your own time, because I know a lot of the information I'm throwing at you, it's like drinking from a fire hose. And a lot of times you can sit back with your significant other, digest the information over the video. We'll send this to you. It's an asset for you to have. And okay, so we're almost done here. Almost done. So how can you get started? Well, you can receive an email from us shortly. We can schedule a 20-minute strategy call with myself. We'll build a custom investment property plan for you. And you can start shopping for those investment properties. Questions? Any questions coming? First question, did you use a HELOC in this example? So the answer, yes, we did. We used a home equity line of credit. At the time, it was prime plus 0.5%. Sometimes you can negotiate that down to even prime on your owner-occupied property. And so but today was prime and a half. So prime is 2.45. It's $295 interest-only payment. So it made sense to do it in this case. Do your clients buy more than one property? Yeah, over half of our clients went on to buy another property. They just see how easy it is to get started. Once they get it, they're kind of like get the itch. They're like, Robert, we're coming back for more. Set it up. We set up the product. We set the mortgage up accordingly. Show them how they can, if they want to entertain future growth down the road, what it would cost them, so forth. So thank you very much. There's a couple of other questions I'm going to try to get to in the emails. And these are great questions. You've been very gracious, giving me your time here. And so there you go. Visit us, of course, at brilliantinvestor.ca, and you'll get a replay for this. Thank you very much.